right, welcome back to Top 5 Vinyl, where we show love to vinyl owners. Today I'm here with DJ Dolo. How's it going, sir?
Good, sir. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. And before we get started, where can the people find you? What do you have going on?
They can find me on Instagram at Dolomatic or on YouTube. It's Dolomatic as well, or it might be DJ Dolomatic. Probably should have thought about that, but either way, on YouTube, I upload mixes, all vinyl mixes that I do every Sunday, and you can check me out there.
Nice, nice. And to piggyback off you, make sure you guys subscribe and like and tell your cool friends, all that cool YouTube stuff. With that being said, uh, let me ask you this way. Do you remember the last and the first vinyl record that you ever bought?
Yeah, the first vinyl record I ever bought was Ghostface Killer, Cher Chez La Ghost, the
Mm,
12-inch single, and I purchased it. It must have been like '02 because I bought it. I got my first set of turntables in 2003.
okay.
I knew I was going to get them because at the time my parents couldn't afford the turntable, so they're like, but I was getting a settlement check for getting attacked by a dog when I turned
Mm,
18, which
mm,
was 2003.
okay.
And so I knew I was going to get a set of turntables with it. That's already, I always wanted them.
Mm,
So I was like, let me go ahead and buy some vinyl so I can get, ahead of the game. Once I get
mm,
my turntables, I got a little something going on. So yeah, it was Ghostface Killer, Church Has a Little Ghost, because I wanted to cut up the part in it where you guy goes, stop, shake your body. And I was
right,
like,
right.
I gotta cut that up because I
Mm.
haven't heard nobody do it. And so yeah, that was the first one. Most recent, man, I'm always buying vinyl. I can't think. I just did a like a classic rock mix. So
Mm.
I was buying a bunch of classic rock records. So it was probably one of those. I think it was the Zombies, which was that time of the season
Mm.
record. I don't know if you know, it's like doom whatever.
Mhm,
Anyways,
mhm.
so that was probably one, if not the last one of the last ones that I bought in a package I got
Okay.
off Discogs.
Okay. So growing up, was there a record player in the house?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of records. I don't know how we had it, but we had one in our we had one of those setups with like you would have like your cassette player and
Hmm.
receiver and everything in it.
Hmm.
And at the
The
bottom
floor
there was
unit.
a
Yep.
turntable. It was like a crappy belt driven one, and I definitely broke it trying to
Mm,
scratch on it, not knowing about slip mats or anything. And I had a big heavy rubber mat on it, so
mm,
uh, I'm sure most people know, but with the belt driven turntables, if you try and scratch on them, they'll burn out the belts.
mm.
And so once I did that, my mom was pretty pissed, and that was about my experience as a kid with turntables.
Was your mom the primary music listener, a vinyl listener in the house?
Yeah, but even that's why I don't even know where the records would came from because I don't remember playing records like that. She probably had them from like her aunts or something. There was like
Mm,
some Cab Calloway and some other stuff, but my mom, she played keyboard in church, so
mm,
she was definitely like a heavy music influence. But then on my dad's side, my grandmother was a pianist too, so
mm.
it's uh it's in the family for sure.
Okay. Okay. And do you have a favorite location, a store to buy vinyl from?
I have several.
Okay.
Um, so originally I'm from Chicago. In Chicago, Dusty Groove was probably my like go-to. It was like literally on my block. So where I was living at the time, there was probably five or six record stores within
Mm.
walking distance. So like
Wow.
I was really spoiled. I didn't realize how spoiled I was until I moved down here to Texas. And so now it's like there's a few good spots, but I feel like either it's a sign of the times or where I'm at, but the vinyl is way more expensive down here. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of times now I'll just go on Discogs. Though I
Okay.
do love the hunt. I have way more fun shopping for records when I'm digging and I can find something and tangibly grab it and I'm like, oh, I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
discovered this.
Hmm.
I don't get that feeling as much with Discogs. It kind of feels like cheating because
It's too
you're
easy.
yeah, you can just type in the name and
Right.
it takes a lot of the fun away. But it's more cost effective if you can use it right. Like
Hmm.
I like to like if I find a record that I'm wanting, I'll just search through their through their cache, and that way I can save money on shipping. I'll
Hmm.
order several records on them because there's always you know a ton of records that I want at any given moment. So like to go through someone's collection and find stuff that I want that I don't have, it's
Yeah.
pretty easy.
So what about like a single trip to the record store? What's the most amount of vinyl you walked out with at one time?
most amount I've walked out with, or the most I've spent, or what do you mean? Like the actual
Um,
most? Because sometimes you could come up, without spending a ton, and sometimes you spend a ton and don't really come up.
right. Let's focus on how many pieces, how many records, how many physical.
Uh, if I had to guess, probably, I mean, like two full boxes,
Mm,
probably the most, and so I would say probably like 150 records,
wow.
maybe 120.
Okay. And one trip.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
some of those were, dollar bins,
Mm,
so some of them were better than others, but
mm-hmm.
then, you know, I'd say if that was like the most I ever got. Yeah.
Mm, nice.
Took
Okay.
me a few months to get through that, because then you get home and you probably listen to like five or six of them. The rest
Right.
just sit there until you get time to listen to them.
Right.
So, but eventually they all got listened to.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. And with that being said, DJ Dolo, show me the number five, your fifth vinyl that you have in front of you.
Okay. So these are supposed to be in order, right?
Five, four,
Okay.
three,
That
two.
was difficult, but we'll go with the best I can do of it. So number five, The Awakening, Ahmad Jamal Trio.
Mm,
This is a great jazz record. Um, it was recorded in 70, I believe. Um, I don't know if you're up on jazz. I'm sure there's a lot of jazz heads watching this, but
mm,
which could tell you a lot more about it. But my discovery of this album is through samples. I mean, like when I love jazz music, but when I listen to jazz, what excites me about it is hearing a jazz piece and picking out samples throughout it. You know what I mean? And this is an album that is just filled with great samples. Everything from Teacher Moses, Be Your Girl, that sample is on here. Common,
mm.
uh, uh, God, I'm drawing a blank right now because we're on camera, but uh, from the Communism. Uh,
Okay.
who else sampled this? I knew I was gonna draw a blank when we got online, but anyways, great album. Aside from the samples that are in it, it's just a great piece of work on the piano.
Mm,
He kills it, and it's free. I don't know too much about jazz. I'm not aficionado, so I'm not going to pretend I am. But this is definitely one of my favorite albums.
mm. Nice. Any
It's one
artwork
of
in
those
the
ones
back
where
of this?
what coming in?
Any artwork on the backside?
It's pretty much just his face there, and
Okay.
then it just has a track listing on here. It's got a nice gatefold, and then
Mm,
some write up about the album. It's one of those ones where you can just play and just read the cliff notes and just vibe out. So
mm, mm.
definitely enjoy this album. All
Nice.
right. Anybody, if you want to listen to jazz, it's a good album. Okay.
Okay. All right, cool. So that was your number five.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at your number four.
Okay, so number four, I feel like this is kind of cheating, right? But I wanted to do this for the simple fact that I know a lot of people don't look at compilation albums as like a great piece of work, but I didn't have enough picks to put all my hip hop tracks in, so I was like, let me find a
Mm,
good compilation. And as a DJ and as a starting out as a vinyl working DJ, a lot of times to lighten my crates, I would buy compilation albums
mm.
rather than having to bring so many different 12 inches. It made more sense just to get a compilation and I could run
Right.
them. So it's Rockets Best of Decade, 1995 to 2005.
Okay.
This is just filled with heat. A lot of stuff from uh, Big L is on here, Common, the Sun God. So back then, for me, I would write the BPM and the names of the songs that are on there. It was kind of like an easy thing
Hmm.
for me. Flipping through a dark club, it was easy for me to see. And so that's why there's writing on it. Probably ruins the value of it, but I don't really buy my vinyl to sell them, so it doesn't really bother me. But yeah,
That's a nice little trick. Okay.
yeah, it's a little cheat code, but like I said, uh, so like Mos Def, what's on here? Umi Says, which is one of my favorite Mos Def songs. Big L Flamboyant, it's on here. Talib Kweli, Get By, just heat, straight heat. If
Uh,
anybody who's not up on Rockets, or even if you are, this is a great
Yeah.
album.
Yeah. This is a difficult question for me to ask. I'm going to ask it anyway, only because that
But
is a compilation album. Have you seen of your five that included, have you
mhm.
seen anybody live before?
I've seen a lot of from that album, or just in
Or
general.
of your top five that you're going to show?
You know what? Go back to the thing, because as a DJ, it's really hard to see as many live shows that I like to, because I'm
Mm,
working usually when they have a show.
mm,
Um, so I don't know me. I don't think. No, I don't think I've seen anyone on here live.
okay.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
I don't
Sadly.
go to enough shows, but
Right,
that's a
right.
problem.
All right, so that was your number four. Let's
Number
take a
four.
look at your number three.
Number three, Eddie Hazel.
Mm,
Game, Dames, and Guitar Things. So Eddie Hazel was a guitarist for Funkadelic.
mm,
If you're familiar with the album Maggot Brain,
mm-hmm,
he's the one who did that crazy guitar solo. If anybody doesn't know the story, George Clinton told him to play like he had just heard his mother died instead of
mm,
the two A's, and he just shreds. In my opinion, and I'm not huge on like rock and roll, I'm more into funk. He is, in my opinion, my favorite guitarist.
mm,
Uh, the way he plays is just so soulful. There's probably, when you talk about technically talented, like Eddie Van Halen, right? People talk about how technically talented he is. I attribute it like kind of like with DJing with turntablists, right? Like Qbert is a super technically talented turntablist, but then someone who's a little bit more simple but plays with more soul, like a DJ Premier.
mm,
In my opinion, I enjoy listening to more.
mm,
And when I listen to Eddie Hazel, like his guitar sings, and there's so much soul behind it. This album is amazing. It's the only album he ever released. It was a side project. He left Funkadelic, I believe, in like 71 or 72, maybe. This
mm.
was recorded in 77.
Okay.
But it's basically a Parliament Funkadelic album. It's produced by George Clinton. It's
Mm,
got Bootsy Collins on it. It's got Bernie Worrell on the synth, who's amazing, obviously. So it feels like a Parliament Funkadelic. It feels like a lost Parliament Funkadelic album.
mm,
So
mm.
I really enjoy listening to this one a lot.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. So that's your number three.
That's number three.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your number two.
Number two, Cortex, Trape Blue.
Mm,
This is a French jazz album. It's got a lot of good samples on it. Madlib used it on the JLib project, I think twice. MF Doom sampled
mm,
this. It's just so good, so good. Recorded in 1975. I believe I heard a story once that the whole thing was recorded like in a weekend. I
mm.
don't know how true that is. Somebody might be able to tell in the comments, but um, it's great. It's like it's funk, it's jazz, it's got like bossa nova. It's just an all vibe. I don't know what they're saying because it's all in French, but like
Right, right.
it's it doesn't really matter because the way she sings is really all that
The
matters. But
vibe. Yep.
the drums on it are amazing. Really plays the pocket well, and it's altogether a really good album for sure.
Mm, nice.
Definitely one anybody who likes like rare groove jazz type shit. Definitely one to add to the collection.
Okay. All right, cool. And last, let me ask this one last question before the grand finale. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard was it for you to narrow down your five?
It was difficult. It was super difficult. I didn't think it was gonna be that difficult because in my head when you told me, I was like, yeah, pick out 5 records. There's no problem. But then when I started picking, I was like, man, like, is this what I want? Like, if I was to like pick 5 records that represent me at this point in time, like,
Mhm.
is this really what I want? And so I ended up getting down to 10 and then having to weasel those out. And I think at one point I just came up with like, let me find a record from each kind of genre that I really rock with. And
Right.
I ended up having to delete my 80s synth funk one that
Mm,
really that bothered me, but you know,
man.
we're here. It's all good.
All right. All right, cool. And for the grand finale, what do we have for
Grand
number one?
finale, Fela Kuti and Africa 70, expensive shit.
Mm,
This are you familiar with Fela
I'm
Kuti?
not.
All right, Fela Kuti is the original Afro. When you talk about Afrobeat, this was in the 70s what Afrobeat was. I don't. I guess he would be considered the creator. If not the creator, definitely one of the pioneers, Godfather. He is amazing.
Mm,
Very outgoing guy. I mean, on the cover here, you can see him accompanied by his 27 wives. The
Hmm.
guy had 27 wives. He married all at once in one ceremony. I mean, he was he lived a pretty wild life. But aside from that, I mean, he did a lot for political music to uplift the people of Nigeria in the time that the government wasn't being so nice to them, I guess you could say, to put it shortly. I mean, he lived a really crazy life and had to deal with the government raiding his house, and
Hmm.
I believe they threw his mother from the second story balcony,
Jeez.
and like, yeah, really, really terrible things he had to go through. But the music, let's talk about the music. So the music is amazing. There's only 2 songs on here on
Hmm.
this whole album, but they're each like 15 minutes or better. So the way he would structure his songs, if you could even say there was a structure to them, the first 6 or 7 minutes of the songs is just instrumental. It's just
Hmm.
like catching a groove, because what he would call it underground spiritual game, which was like almost like a way of like entrancing you in the music. And his band really was so amazing. If like you listen to ride a pocket so well for 15 minutes straight. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just amazing feeling on its own. But the music itself is just amazing. Definitely my favorite to listen to. There's so many good favorite albums out there, but this to me is my favorite. So expensive shit. Basically, a song about the police. I think they tried to catch him with weed or something like that. I think
Hmm.
it was weed, and they thought that he ingested it, so they made him go down to the county and pass it.
Gotcha.
Expensive shit. But they
Gotcha.
didn't find anything, so he's good. Um, that song's great. It's more upbeat, danceable, makes you move. You know what I mean? The B side though is probably my favorite track on there. Water No Get Enemy.
Hmm.
This, if you've a hip hop head, you would know Pete Rock, Grown Man Sport. He
Hmm.
sampled that song.
Hmm.
Uh, it's just so good. It's so good. I can't even do it justice with words. You have to listen to it. Like I said, they are long songs, but you will get so lost in it that because they would ask him. I remember watching something about it. If he could shorten the songs, to make them more playable for radio or whatever. But he wouldn't do it because he'd compare it to like a classical, like a Beethoven piece. You can't
Hmm.
take a concerto and just cut down. You have to really experience it, and
Right.
it's really an experience. This is definitely my favorite album.
Nice. All right, cool. There it is. DJ Dolo, thank you so much for sharing your top five with me, sir.
Thank you for having me. I
Of
appreciate it.
course, of course. And let the people know one more time where they can find you.
On Instagram, it's Dolo-matic,
Mhm.
Dolo Matic, and on YouTube, DJ Dolo-matic, I believe is what it
Okay,
is.
cool.
And if you just type in Dolo-matic, you'll find me.
You're the one. Okay.
I'm the one.
All right, cool. All right, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good one.